So I got my first shock off of the mini bike there, and so I have my mounting bolt here as well as the nut, and we'll put those in the parts washer. We're going to need to separate this so we can put this thing in the parts washer as well. But what I have is when they tightened it down with the bolt there is they took it and completely smashed it, so it's completely out of round. So before I can try and get that spring and the washer and whatnot out of there, I'm going to have to try and bend this back and get it rounded out. Once I do, we'll go ahead and we'll get the spring out of there, and whatever parts may be inside of there, I don't know as of yet, but it's got a little bit of spring to it. Naturally, I can't do it right here, but it does move a little bit. But we're going to have to get that rounded out, get it taken apart, and we'll get it in the parts washer. But I just wanted you to see this is kind of a before, and it's in pretty bad shape, so we're going to get these re-chromed. I've gotten both of my shocks cleaned up after running them through my ultrasonic cleaner, and this is something I picked up at Harbor Freight probably about 3 years ago, and I'll tell you what, I have used this machine to death. I can't say enough good things about it. What I normally do whenever I'm cleaning parts like this, they're real greasy and they're smaller and they'll fit in there, is I pick this up at the dollar store. This is just some Dawn dish detergent, and there's a heating element in the bottom of that, and it's about this big around, and I'll cover that with Dawn and then fill that up with water, turn on the water heater that's inside of there, and put the parts in and let them soak for about 10 or 15 minutes with the ultrasonic on. And then I picked these up at the dollar store as well. They're just some scouring pads, kind of like the 3M Scotch-Brite pads, and I'll clean the parts up and it does a great job. So I use that there. Now this here was the one that we were looking at last time when I checked off with you, and it came out pretty good, but it does have a lot of pitting. I don't know if the camera is going to be able to catch that, but it's pretty bad. I'm going to have to talk to the shop about possibly who's going to chrome that and see what their thoughts are with it. It's also, and I'm not sure if you can see it at your angle too, it's got some flat spots right in here and a little bit of a wear mark right there. I don't know exactly what that would have come from. It's so flat, I tend to think it may have been a rim or a tire, possibly a chain at one point was rubbing on it. But this one here has some issues with it. It's also still really rounded off. I had to kind of tap on it with a hammer to be able to get the spring out and be able to get things out of there so I could clean it. But other than that, it seems to be okay. We'll see what we can do to try and get that reconditioned and put back together. This here is the bottom part, and you'll see it came out okay. Once again, it's got some pitting and scratches from the chain in here as well, but other than that, it seems to be doing pretty good. We had the spring, and it also has just a little bit of a wear mark on one side of the spring right here. I would think, I don't know how that would have gotten there. When I did look down inside this tube from where they actually brought it together and welded it, it looks like there was a little piece that was sticking out, so I tend to think that maybe that's where it was rubbing the whole time. Don't know for sure on that. But there was a washer was in there, and the nut, as well as the mounting bolt. The mounting bolts actually do match. It's the retaining nuts on there that don't match. I tend to think that probably this kind of torpedo style retaining nut was original, was what I would think. And this one here just has like a standard nut on there. So we'll look into that. I'm thinking I'll probably replace those with some chrome. This one here is the one that was on the other side that I took apart, and actually I'm really happy with it. It came out pretty good. It does have some pitting on it as well over here, nothing like this one does. I don't know if you can see that there, but it's in much nicer shape. I already went ahead with this one, and I did round out the top of the shock. And basically how I did that was I started out with something smaller, and this one was pressed in a bit more, but like this here is a 17 deep socket, by the way. And like right now, see, it won't even fit in here. So what I did is I started out with the 17 and I kind of put it in there to round it out a little bit. And if you have something that's like metal or a really hard plastic or something that's like a cone shaped, would be ideal. I didn't really have anything around here. The closest thing I had to it was my step bit, another Harbor Freight thing, funny enough. But what I did is I put that in here, And quite frankly, I just kind of worked it around a bit, and I just took my hammer and would tap on it, and I got it to a point where it started to round that out a bit. And once I did, then I took an 18 socket, which actually fits pretty good down inside of there to get it rounded out. And then I took my 18 and I pounded it down inside of there, and it rounded it out. And then, I mean, honestly, bottom line is you're gonna have something pound it back out. And what I ended up using, funny enough, and I've already put it away, was just a little piece of 3/8 inch rebar that I was able to put up through the bottom here of the main body and just bang that that socket out of there. So by doing that, I was able to round that back out again, and now as such my spring goes down in there real nice. So everything's looking good with that. To give you an idea how these shocks will work, what happens naturally is this bottom shaft goes up inside like so. Okay, now if you look here at the very top of this shaft, it has a threaded area right in here. So what would happen is this will go up inside the main body like so. Once you do, then this washer here will go down inside, and it will come down on top like you see here. And then you'll take your little bolt that you'll see here, and it will bolt into, whoop, let me switch hands, it's a bit easier. And then what it will do, there we go, I'm right-handed. So then this will get tightened down like so. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down. So at that point, this will be inside of there like this. Then what happens is when you slide your spring down, it will come down and it stops on this, like so. And then you'll have another spring you're supposed to have that will be on top. Now, I'm going to assume that at one point, there had to be a cap on these. Now, neither one of my shocks had a cap on it, so I'm gonna have to come up with something for a cap on these. And I would think that the cap maybe came down inside of there to act as a stop. Now, it's very possible that maybe, you know, Fox just figured that this bolt here acted as the stop for the top. I don't know for sure, but ideally what I would like to do is when I get my cap, either I'm gonna have to make it or find one, but once I get a cap, ideally what I'd like to do is have it come down on the sides, kind of U-shaped if you will, over this area, and have it come down so it's just below where that mounting bolt goes through there. So then that could act as a stop for the washer. And so we'll see how that ends up working out. I'll have to do another video at some point probably to show you how that ended up getting resolved, but I wanted to show you how the shock works. So it's actually pretty easy in terms of how those go. Some of the other things I used to clean, I just had a stainless steel brush that I used inside with my parts cleaner. I had a rag, I had a file, because these were so bent that as it got kind of straightened back out, I had some burrs popping out here and there. So I wanted to file those down and get that taken care of. Whenever I'm doing my parts washer and using that, I just have a magnetic pickup tool so I can reach down inside that hot water and pull my parts out and clean them, so that was pretty easy. And I did also use some brake cleaner just to get down inside of there a bit and inside these springs, but they came out really good. I mean, they're super clean and everything looks great on them. And so we now have these done to this point, so I'm probably going to put this video out for you now, and then once I'm actually able to get these chromed, if that's possible. At this point, I'm going to look and see what the price is to get these re-chromed. If it's just a crazy amount of money, then probably what we'll end up doing is just doing our best, sand them down a bit, see what we can do to polish them up, make them look kind of good, maybe paint them if we have to, and then put them back on. But I'm not looking at this point to do a full-on restoration for this thing, because my two kids are going to be riding it out in the fields and playing on it, and it's going to get scratched and beat up some more. So it doesn't make sense to me at this point to put a lot of money into restoration of it when it's just going to get used, which is basically what we bought the mini bike for to begin with. So that's where we're at with this. I just wanted to provide you an update. These are the shocks. That's how they work. These are the parts involved. So I'll check back in with you later with the next part of our video. What we're going to start doing now is stripping down that frame a bit and getting it cleaned off. So we'll probably do that next, or it's possible I may pull the front forks off and start working on those front shocks as well. So one way or another, you'll get another update video coming here before too long. I just thought I'd show you where we were at. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to stay tuned for more updates as we do this, please hit that subscribe button, and if you would please at least hit the like button for us. Thank you very much.